happy update to a story we've been following for a couple of months. Vegas Vic is fully lit up now. Fox 5's Mike Allen helps us put a bow on Vic's comeback story.
Well, absence makes the heart glow fonder. Wasn't long ago that this septuagenarian behind me here needed a major facelift, but now Vegas Vic is back.
This is such a great moment for Las Vegas to have Vegas Vic in its full glory glowing on Fremont Street.
A time of triumph now for Vegas Vic, but before his restoration, it was lights out for this icon of Fremont Street earlier in the summer. People had noticed he'd gone dim from lack of upkeep, so they reached out to the city, which notified the owner of the classic sign that it was in violation of city code.
So it's important that we have this iconic piece glowing throughout the night.
So Schiff Enterprises, which owns the neon sign, called up Yesco, a neon sign repair company with deep roots in Vegas. And now, after repairing and replacing the neon tubes, among other work, Vic is back. But the 72-year-old is going to need a lot more work done in the future.
We're actually in the midst of looking at potentially redoing all the glass, all the paint, and everything on the whole sign. It's in need of some lipstick.
I asked Judd Williams, VP of Service for Yesco, how long these repair intervals should be and how long it had been since Vic got one. He said they should happen every month for a sign that old, but Schiff Enterprises had let more than a year pass since Vic's last repair.
There was a while where they weren't doing much.
Vic's return means a lot to locals and visitors to Fremont, and perhaps even more to Aaron Berger, Executive Director of the Neon Museum.
Vegas Vic doesn't just represent another sign on Fremont. Vegas Vic is history. Vegas Vic is really where a lot of our city's history is rooted.
Williams, whose employer was actually the company commissioned to build Vegas Vic back in the 50s, agrees.
He holds a special spot with Yesco and the Las Vegas community. He's been there since the beginning of Fremont Street. So
Berger also told me about another project he's working on, putting QR codes next to historic neon signs like Vic here that take you to a link that shows you all the history behind them. He says that should roll out sometime later this year. Reporting from Fremont Street tonight, Mike Allen, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
And also, if you are into historic Vegas architecture and signage, the Neon Museum is putting on a celebration of those things in October. We have the information for that on our website.